the way this wine came out and to see people enjoying it, and it's like we created one of one with this wine.
I believe like real wine lovers or real wine drinkers, once they taste it, they'll know. Hey everybody, it's Zeke and Cory from Los Cuernos Wine. Today what we want to do is we're going to break down the wine. We can't wait to just kind of explain like why we did this, how we did this, how we think about kind of all the kind of the nuances and details of the wine. But first and foremost, Zeke and I are wine lovers. Now we happen to be, sommeliers. We happen to have fine dining background experience and industry experts and all that. But at the end of the day, we're wine lovers and we did this for you. Yeah, so why do we do this?
Oh, you're gonna have to pour me more.
Or in your opinion?
And we did Los Cuernos because we're wine lovers. We were going out into the world and we were going to places that had good beer, they had good canned cocktails or cocktails, and they had bad wine.
Mm-hmm.
And in particular, smaller format restaurants, hotels, or outdoor places, it was like a punishment, right?
Yeah.
And we know beer, we know spirits, we know beverage as well. And so, it just kept happening over and over. And we were like, why are we getting this? And even a bunch of our network, we were in sales for a long time and we're somms in the industry. So a lot of people saying this is a problem. And so we decide, okay, how can we make better wine more available to more consumers, right? Like simply. And then so in the simplest way, we wanted to make the best wine possible. And then we use the can as the best vessel.
Yeah, well, I think maybe before I want to give a little context. So our wine is from California. And there's some nuance to that, but I think an important thing to remember throughout all of this is that we're doing things different and we're starting with the consumer and then kind of working our way backwards. So for us, great wine, no rules. A lot of the kind of traditional industry focuses on, logistically or the land itself. The smaller, the better, the smaller, the better, the smaller, the better. It's like this AVA, this single vineyard, this, sub AVA to, specific lots. So it's not neither here nor there. We're not, here to judge, kind of that style of winemaking. But what we've done at Los Cuernos is different. So we are on purpose a California wine. Our winemaker is out of Lodi, where the majority of our fruit is from. And it's also important, I think, to, we've obsessed over this whole idea about these exact wines, the wines that are in here, like the flavor profiles, what they are, what varietals where. We've obsessed over this for over 10 years, specifically to make Petite Syrah driven red blends out of Lodi. That's where it all started. So why don't you start by talking about the Rosé?
Yes.
So we always love starting with bubbles. So we're gonna do the Rosé first, and then we're gonna kind of make our way through the others. We'll do Chard, and then we'll talk about the red wines too, which is I'm super excited to do.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, the wines that our consumers wanted, so we took their feedback to make these wines. And so we wanted to do a rosé, and we wanted to do a sparkling rosé. We wanted to do a Provence style, as you can see from the lighter color. And we wanted it to be like fresh, crisp, just like a very, not an easy drinker, but a very crisp, easy drinking wine. And the moment for us making this wine was crazy. We were deciding on how much carbonation that would go in there. So we're standing there, me, Cory, winemaker, like two other people, and we're trying it. Basically, it's pouring out of a tank, right, into these little plastic cups. And I remember trying it. I was thinking, all right, that's pretty good. Am I good with it? And Cory was very confident of saying, no, we need more bubbles in it. And I was nervous because I wasn't sure. We had to make a decision. And there's also a tax part of it too. When you go past a certain level, I think it was like 2.0,
Yeah.
that the tax jumps dramatically. And Cory's like, I don't care. We have to do more. And so the funniest part was we agreed to do it, to put more in it. And we tried again. I wasn't like 100%. And then when we tried it out of the can, 100%, it was like the right thing. These, like, I call like Evian bubbles, like these fine, tight bubbles that make a sparkler wonderful.
Yeah. While he's sipping, the varietals generally are, so GSM without the S, so Mourvèdre, and then Grenache is kind of the major varietals in the rosé. Beautiful bubbles, just tight, super effervescent. I can't say that. Super effervescent. Anything else you want to share on the sparkling?
No, that's it. This is one of our best movers.
Yep.
People love it.
For a little context, when I drink white wine casually at home, it's usually not California white wine. Just how it is, right? I appreciate it. We appreciate it all. And one of the main reasons I, in my past, have not casually drunk California white wine, specifically Chardonnay, is because it tends to just be over oaked, just completely oaked out, and I just can't stand it. I want to taste the varietal. I also want to have like a nicely balanced wine. So with our Chardonnay, so one of the things that was most critical or most important for us was that it wasn't over oaked and that it was balanced. So it was, because it's a California Chardonnay, we absolutely wanted to have, it needed to have, some oak impartation, which, a lot of that, the byproduct of it is just great texture, kind of like creamy, kind of mouthfeel, kind of from that second mallow. But for us, it was imperative to have the fresh, there's some beautiful, like fresh tropical stone fruit in this wine that balances kind of the oak influence just beautifully. So I love this Chardonnay. If you love wine, if you're a wine lover, if you normally turn your nose up to California Chard, don't hate, just crack it and try it. What do you think?
Oh my gosh. This wine, I feel, and I'd say, is a commercially perfect wine. And we had these notes. We bought like 5 wines that were like close to what we wanted. We wrote all these notes down, and then we just have our winemaker's actually a grower too. So started out as a farmer, so he understands the soil, understands the terroir, and then he's a winemaker, right? So we told him what we wanted to do. And I remember trying this, thinking to myself, this is a commercially perfect wine. I think I've sold over 300-400 different Chardonnays at my time at the distributor. And so I know one that people are going to like. And so for me, this wine, I was like, okay, this is going to be good. This one we could sell.
Yeah. Touche. Okay, so we're about to get into the red wine.
Oh, yeah.
And this is where it even gets better. Especially for those who, for wine lovers, right? Like, so right off the bat, I think he's pouring the red blend now. Shows beautifully in a glass, or however you want to enjoy it, whatever, in the can or not, or whatever. Great wine, no rules. Beautiful colored, super deep garnet. And there's a reason for that, because the fruit inside there, this is the varietals, even though we'll get into it a little bit later, but another thing we did differently is we went non-vintage, which is critical to kind of to achieve the wine that we have in these cans. So red blend, Petite Syrah and Zinfandel. So as we all know, or if you don't, Petite Syrah as a varietal has thick skins and it has great structure. So, and it thrives in Lodi and the climate of Lodi. So think Petite Syrah, big, powerful wine, has nice structure, has a little grip, but it also has almost, I think it's like 40% or almost half a Zinfandel as well, which if you know Zin, just think big, juicy, just lovely, like vibrant fruit. And so there's that Zin with like the big, beautiful fruit to balance kind of the structure of the Petite Syrah. And so ultimately what you have with that, in my opinion, is one of my favorite wines. So it's a big, full-bodied wine with just beautiful fruit that you can, I don't know, or I can like just crush by itself or enjoy it, kind of, or, you know, it can stand up to like a steak or whatever. So it's a great food wine, but it's also just a great wine in general.
Yeah.
What do you think? Does that sound weird? Does that make sense to you?
It does, because the wines that we wanted to make were, you open them and pretty much anyone can drink it. So I love this wine because it took us 10 years to make. And we talked about doing Petit Syrah in 2014. Initially, we wanted to do a Meritage blend, which is like a Bordeaux style blend with Cab, Petit Verdot, Malbec. And we're going to do Central Coast, and we evolved through trying numerous wines. So I believe I've tried over 200 red blends, maybe 300 of these Petit Syrah blends to get it out and try people, whether I was in California, Illinois, Texas, anywhere I'd go, I would try this. And so the way this wine came out, and to see people enjoying it, and it's like we created one of one with this wine.
Yeah.
I think I love it. And I'm proud to give it to people because I know they're going to like it. So I'm like, hey, take it. Talk to me later.
Love it.
And then they shoot me a text, man, I can't believe it. So that is my favorite part about this wine, or I think all our wines, is like that I'm proud to give it to somebody. And because I know the feedback's going to be good.
Yeah.
So wine drinkers.
Yeah. I agree. No surprise there. But one of the reasons I do agree is because I believe like real wine lovers or real wine drinkers, once they taste it, they'll know. And so one of the things, but it's different, but it's hard because, you know, traditionally, you know, great wine, it hasn't come in the form of this. So if I put myself in the mind or in the place of like, you know, let's say a wine lover that I'm talking to, you know, at like a in-store sampling, like we were just at Seaside Market or one of the festivals we just did, or at PayPal Park, it's like, I would think this is weird, or I wouldn't think it was weird. I just wouldn't know what to think about it. And so a couple things that I've noticed that help people is think about it like this. So these, and it's very specific to the reds too, but these red wines, it's a little kind of hard to wrap your head around, but think of them as properly aged and properly finished wines. And when I mean properly aged, I mean aged in the traditional method. So the wine in here, you know, once again, I mentioned we went non-vintage, which allows us to do this, but the wine in here has been properly aged in, like, just think like small French oak barrels or small French oak barriques, not aged in the can. Wine isn't supposed to, it's not meant to be aged in the can. You know, wines drink, what is it, like 90+% of bottled wine is consumed within like a day anyways, right? So it's like the vessel, don't be fooled by the vessel. This is just so it can be handy and it can be like a single serve and you can bring it anywhere. But the craftsmanship and the work has been done prior. So I just think that's important. It's non-vintage and it's properly aged. So like, you know, we're trying, you know, we're tasting the red blend now. When we go to the reserve, you know, the fruit in here is even like, think like 30 months, small French oak barriques. And so you just have this beautiful, kind of these beautiful nuanced tannins. I'm getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, but it's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, I think the finished wine piece is, we know that wine should be aged, or not aged, but like you pour and you're like, oh, let it breathe, or this wine needs to stay in the bottle. It's not ready. We watched that Gary Vee video. Yeah. He said this wine is tight, which he's like, it's a young wine, it's high quality, it's tannin, needs time to open. Our wine is finished, and the can seal is almost a perfect seal. It's like a 99.9. So the wine stays the same all the time. So when you drink it, it's a very consistent product. So that was a huge plus of the cans that we didn't know. Mm-hmm. Like, into making it is, if you take a very young wine and put it into the can, it actually won't be good. Mm-hmm. And so by putting in a finished wine, it seals it there and allows the end user to get this thing that's ready consistently every time with way less thinking about it. And I, as a sommelier or as a wine salesperson, I would have to explain wine to people all the time. And what you want to do is get it easier and get easier. And I think part of what we've done with this is just made wine easier.
Yeah.
Let's complicate it. Like,
Well, I still remember it's even though it wasn't too long ago when we first approached, Gerardo, our winemaker, about the wine, specifically the red wines, right? Well, number one, he thought we were crazy, but after he kind of moved past that and was at least like, feeling what we were picking up, what we were throwing down, he literally said, "You can't make a real red wine in a can." And it's funny because I've had a lot of conversations about that kind of like why he thought that, or why, with a lot of different people, and even talking to Gerardo, he only said it because he just hasn't seen it, right? So it's like a lot of the wines that are in cans, not only are they current vintage, which we don't need to go there, but they're current vintage, but they're like a lot of times they're just fizzy reds or lighter reds, because it's a whole nother thing to do it. So it's a real wine.
it's a great red. Like, we blind taste people all the time, and we go against other wines, and we win, right? And it's not really about that. It's just making great wine available without all the complexity. Like, I see fake wines that have a label and a celebrity. Yes, I'm going to go here. And they're from southern France, or they're from some other, it's not a great wine, they imported it in. And as a wine drinker, I'll buy that one time, and I'm like, oh man, they tricked me. And I call that the one and done. This is, like, we made real wine from wine experts who wanted to make really good wine for our consumers and be consistent. And I would take all the feedback. And part of this process was getting so much feedback from everybody on these wines. All right, you ready to go to the reserve?
Let's do it.
Yeah. So love the red blend. I want you to go to the reserve because you're going to nerd out. I do want to say what we said to the winemaker. We said,
what?
Make the best possible wine. Like, we don't care about the cost, roughly, but like, we want a wine that impresses people, and screw it. And we're just going to make a little wine that we'll drink. And we gave our winemaker a lot of free reign to make this one. So you can do kind of the more of the breakdown of it. And I remember the first time I tried it, this one here is Corey mentioned, is Petite Syrah. It's Zin. It's just full bodied, fresh fruit, high alc, like outdoor, whatever you want with that wine, the balance in the glass. This wine here, a little bit lower alcohol. It's aged. It's smooth. It's just gentle on the palate. Like, oh my God, the reactions I get for this wine, I just love it.
And so with the reserve, this is kind of like, kind of our flagship wine. It's the only one that has an elevated price point relative to the others. We wanted to give Gerardo a little love because he's amazing at what he does. And so one of the things that we wanted to do was just kind of give him a shout out. So on the reserve can only, this is a little fun fact, Gerardo has a little blurb here, and it has his signature. And I'll just read it. It just says, nature nurtures excellence, quality farming, plus minimal intervention. That's it. So these wines are not manufactured. They're not overly extracted, overly developed, overly produced. Gerardo, I'm sure we'll have plenty of time to kind of get his thoughts for him to share kind of with everybody. But it's all about minimal intervention, right? And unique thing going back to the reserve specifically is that this is our only wine that has Cabernet Sauvignon. So as I mentioned, our reds are Petite Syrah driven. I mentioned Petite Syrah Zin, and then this guy's a little different. So still Petite Syrah, but also has Cabernet Sauvignon, some lovely cab. Also has a little touch of Alicante Bouschet, but don't get it twisted. Don't get lost in the weeds. We're doing things different, thinking about them different. Just enjoy it. So like, because we went non-vintage, the exact varietal breakdown and all of that nuance, it matters less, right? So we're trying to kind of, in a way, change the way people think about it, or just think about it less and enjoy it more and just make it more practical. So overall flavor profile, actually this wine, even though it's a reserve, it's not, in my opinion, it's not as big as the red blend. And I think the reason, even though it has Cabernet Sauvignon, is that this wine is even more aged, right? So like the tannins are just more like nuanced, right? It's a kind of a longer finish. It's a little more evolved. I don't know. How would you describe it now that I'm rambling?
Like, to me, it is let's just do a taste. What I love about it is that it's ready to drink. So if I got like a wine that was 5 or 7 years old, I'd still open it and I have to wait a little. This thing, you open it, you can tell it's aged wine. It's delicate and across the palate, has rich flavors and a wonderful finish. And then it's got a little bit of that oak note on the end. It's funny about our wines and being cans. I was even thinking about this because we've tried this against $40, $50, $60 wines. And it's one, at the end of the day, the wine matters, right? Like how it tastes. And before you try someone, you go through all this stuff. Oh, it's from here. It's from there. Here's the person and this and this. But the truest thing is like, is the wine good? And like I talk about like in sports, when you have like a soccer player, a basketball player, a football player, they have these guys that are like specimens, but they can't play. And you got these little guys or these different guys that everyone loves because they can play. And it's like, we always say, it's like, can you play? Our wine can play.
Okay. By the way, I know we're riffing now. I've never thought of it that way, but I love it because it's almost like
that was the seat. That was the chair.
That's funny. But like, it makes so much sense because I was going to make a comment about how our wine, I want to be clear here, so I want to take a step back.
Yeah.
So just your analogy, which is fun, and I can go a little deeper in a minute, but I almost look at it, white man can't jump. Is that weird? We're like, Woody Harrelson,
40 years old.
Okay, so we love basketball. So we all know the guy that like comes to the gym and he's got all the gear. He's got his bag. He's got his shoes in his bag. He's got the armband. He's got the sleeve. He's got the headband. He's got all the lingo and all the gear, and his jumper's broke. And then there's like a guy like Woody Harrelson, well, in the movie, I'm sure, yeah. Not to knock on his basketball game, but he shows up, he looks like a bum, or he just looks different. You just don't expect it, and then he's great. He's a great teammate, he's a great player, and he wins. So that's kind of how I look at our wine. But what I was going to say was,
I'd say like Nikola Jokic. I was thinking somebody else. Okay. That's like,
yeah. We digress. Anyway, we're having fun. But like, so a lot of times when people are talking about wine, it seems that they're like programmed to ask certain questions or to talk about certain things about the wine. My challenge to kind of everybody is to just rethink that a little bit. So even when we were at Da Vinci, and I saw a wine director.
Da Vinci is a fine dining restaurant that him and I worked with. Corey's Wine List won Wine Spectator Awards. Expensive marble, beautiful high-end restaurant.
Yeah, beautiful. And we had a crazy list, and it was amazing. But the thing was, and you know, the majority of the days when I was at work, I would just taste wine, right? It was kind of my job. And, you know, a lot of the wine guys, beautiful wines, I would sit down and taste. A lot of it, it's like, what would frustrate me is I would sit down to taste the wine for the first time with like a rep or the producer or the winemaker. And for whatever reason, when I would, you know, just begin to taste it, they would almost instinctively begin to tell me what I should taste, what I should, like specific flavor profiles. Everybody knows, like, oh, the blueberry, oh, the cat pee, oh, the barnyard, oh, the whatever. Okay, fine. We can have some like, benchmarks of like flavor profiles kind of relate to and stuff. But at the end of the day, for the love of God, what we would encourage everybody to do is just not overthink it, not overthink things, and just drink what you like and just focus on what's in the glass.
I think it comes down to, do consumers like the wine? Like I was like the Burgundy ambassador.
Oh yeah,
so I remember those. So super nuanced, high-end, expensive wines. But I had to tell people why they would like them. Like, you will like this because you're getting this and this. And I think with Los Cuernos is like, hey, this wine is really good. Try it out. And it's consistent.
Yeah, I mean, so Zeke and I, we've kind of gone to the far end of the wine expert world, and a lot of times, or the majority of it is not that it's like not true or not right. It's just a lot of it's not necessary for the general wine consumer. And the reason I say that is because normally what it does is it makes people intimidated when it shouldn't. And it kind of makes us sad. And, as wine lovers, when we see wine being deprioritized, when we go to like our favorite restaurants and there's like all these amazing spirits, all these amazing whiskeys and tequilas and RTDs and amazing craft beers. I mean, we live in San Diego and amazing everything. And then it's like, the wine's not even on the menu. And then we're like, do you have wine? They're like, yeah, kind of, so we just want to see, like, we love wine. And it's and we just want to see it have its place, and just for people to be intimidated by it. So just drink what you like and don't overthink it, right? So we love wine. We obsess over this stuff for a long time, and a lot of years. And all we wanted to do was put a great wine that we would be proud to drink on the daily, and that we would be proud to give to our friends, and just put it in like a single serve vessel that anybody can enjoy anywhere. So
wine we're proud to drink ourselves, proud to give to others, proud to give to someone else, right? Why don't we do this? Yeah, I feel like we're running long. Let's do a quick recap on each one, really quick. So we can get a 10-minute review. You want me to do mine? You do yours?
No, you just
okay. Let it rip. Let's go. Sparkling rosé. What I love about this, it's fresh, beautiful bubbles, it's crisp, and any type of food. So let's go Psalm hat here. Sparkling wines go with any food because of the effervescence, the cold, and the acidity. You can have it with a carpaccio, you can have it with calamari, you have French fries, you can have a burger, you have any type of food. Just do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Second one, this Chard here is just wonderful balance of fruit flavors right out of the gate.
Yep.
And then the oak is the right amount of oak. It's not over oak, it's not under oak. You drink this wine, it is a crowd-pleasing wine.
I dare people that hate Chards from California to just try it.
Yeah.
And then at me.
The red blend, full-bodied, rich, balanced wine, just what you love from California. It's when I see wines from southern France and from Oregon leading, I'm like, wait, California is where wines are made. So this wine, again, just brute, full-bodied, balance.
Yeah.
Okay. This is, if you ever wanted to drink an older wine and know what it should taste like, this is what an older wine tastes like. It's understated, it's nuanced, it has balance, and it leaves you with wonderful flavors in your mouth, period. Great wine, no rules. We say that because we made really great wine, and if you started from the beginning line here, all the companies of wine start here. Right, with great wine.
Start where?
Start with
where on your
wine.
arm?
We're great wine on this side. Right? And then it's the rules that ruin it. It's like you have to eat it with this food. It has to have a glass. It has to be from this region. It has to get this score. And so they've outsourced all of the wine, and they haven't gone to the basic thing. Is the wine great or not? Is it good or not? And so to me, getting rid of all the rules of drink it where you like, eat it with what you like, don't worry about where it's from, like, is the wine good?
Yeah.
And so that what it is, like, we made a great wine, and with zero rules or judgment, just enjoy. And I think the beginning of the wine journey is terrible for the modern consumer, and we can't get them drinking great bottles from Italy, Spain, Australia, Portugal, any other place if they're drinking crappy wine at the beginning. And so to me, let's give them great wine at the beginning and let them go on the wine journey. So that's what, to me, what great wine, no rules is.
Hopefully this made some kind of sense to you guys. We're just trying to give you a little more insight and more context and why and what this is and how to think about it. We know it's a little different. So Yeah, hopefully it helped. And if you love wine, maybe, just maybe, you're a little more apt or inclined to give us a try.
Yeah. Give us a try. Send us a message. We are wine guys. We're wine lovers. Our team has what you want there, and we love the feedback.
By the way, I was
Be surprised.
I was with Ryan, a guy we met just doing a tasting the other day. Kind of connected with him in store. We were at Texas Wine and Spirits in Carlsbad Village, and just kind of was broing out with this one guy after his workout. And he was like, he's like, and next thing you know, he's buying a couple of 4-packs. Cut to, I'll make the story very short. It's a small world. He's actually buddies with my neighbor, and he has been buddies with him for like 20 years. So cut to the next day after we organically broed out at the wine tasting, we're sitting on the beach at Tamarack Beach and just kind of, kicking it. Our daughters are all playing. And of course I brought some Los Cuernos, but like we were tripping out because I had this guy, on the towel next to me, and there was something like, I don't know, special. It was like a moment, right? I cracked the can. Here I am drinking this wine, which equivalizes like a $45 bottle, essentially, and it was just a moment. And I feel like that story is like a cliffhanger. Like it never.
We'll do more. It's funny because we're filming saying I'm not farting. That's a scene. It is. In all seriousness, like wine has been around for 6,000 years, right? So it's been from like kings and queens historically in the industry. Like it's in, like I know, like Marcus Aurelius writes about it, Taylor Swift writes about it. So it's like this whole gap of people have loved the wine. It's been passed from generation to generation, right? So you're talking 6,000 years.
It's a gift from God,
and it is naturally low carb, low sugar. Better on your gut than the spirits. And in the last 30 years, it's been difficult and complicated. And so this is just a time period where it's tough. And now we're going to try to make it just more available and more simple to more people so more generations can enjoy it again.
Yeah. We're trying to
Pretty cool.
We're trying to save the wine industry from itself. Please join.